Hey everyone, this is Chris, sometimes known as LOTR Deck Tech, and I'm going to bring you something a little bit different from normal today. We've had a ton of people entering the community thanks to the hype around the digital version of Lord of the Rings that is coming. People are buying core sets, they're hunting for adventure packs, they're learning how to play, and I wanted to bring a deck that you can play with just one core set as a way to sort of get your feet wet and have a little bit of a better chance of success going into it. I am also going to try to explain a little more my decisions and sort of thought processes when I play the quest, which maybe will help you pick up a thing or two as you go along. This deck that I am playing today is pretty similar to the deck that I built in paper when I was first learning the game. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same, because some of these cards I know I did not like when the core set came out. Like this one that lets you draw cards. But the hero lineup is definitely the same, and I think it's quite strong right away. So our two sort of big heroes here, we have Éowyn, because she starts out with a huge willpower, and you can always discard a card that you're not going to play right away in order to give her a little more. And Denethor, who can either be a good defender, or he can sort of look at the top card of the encounter deck and make it go away. You do have to remember, because you probably want to keep him ready just in case you need to defend, and then discard with his ability possibly after the combat step. So there's some challenges there, but it's not too bad. And to round it out, we have Theodred, which, if you've watched any of these other videos, you know is my favorite, because he lets you pile on resources. Alright, so we are going up against the very first quest in the core set, because I don't want to spoil anyone. This deck can beat the second quest. I would be hesitant to take it against the third. Alright, so we got our setup. We have one Old Forest Road, one Forest Spider. And because our threat is 25, we are going to have to engage the spider right away. If I had Sneak Attack and Gandalf, I might be able to stop that, but I do not. So, let's start the first round. Well, there's one of those things. Right, first things first. Now, I think I'm going to save resources right now. I will be able to play Steward next round, probably on Denethor because we have a lot of more cards. Actually, no. Let's play Hanemarth right away. I will definitely have at least 2 resources on Denethor next round, assuming I do this correctly. So, we're going to send people to the quest. I'm going to commit everyone. Old Forest Road lets us ready a character when we travel to it, and there's a very good chance that that's exactly what we're going to do this round, which will give us a defender to deal with this forest spider. Alright, my willpower, 1, 5, 6, 7. This is maybe not as great as I would like, but it's not too bad. Alright, and then there's probably the worst thing to see right away, because it kills Hanemarth, drops my willpower down to 6. Because this is a core set, I do have 2 copies of A Test of Will, which will let you cancel that card. I just didn't draw any of them. Alright, so my 6 willpower versus 3 threat means I make 3 progress. During travel, I will travel to the Old Forest Road. I have no choice but to engage this spider, which gets an extra attack this round. I forgot, when I traveled here, I can ready Denethor. Spider will attack, and I will defend. Enemy gets +1, so Denethor takes 1 damage. And of course, I realized I have already made a mistake. When I committed characters to the quest, Theodred gives an extra resource, so we were going to put that on Denethor, so I can play some of these. Alright, but our staging area is clear. All we have to do is deal with this spider right now, and we're in good shape. So let's move on to the second round. Okay, that's a little situational, but it's fine. Let's Spend 2 of these to play Steward of Gondor. Drop 2 resources onto Denethor. Gonna spend 2 immediately for Gleowine, who I can use to draw a card. Okay, that's not bad. I don't have anything to do with these spirit resources right now, which is a little unfortunate. And I will spend 2 for a Miner of the Iron Hills. I don't think I'm going to need his condition attachment healing, and worst case, I can just sort of throw him under the bus for the spider if I need to. Alright, going to the quest. I've got 5 willpower right now. I'm going to put the resource on Theodred, just in case I want to use Sneak Attack or Valiant Sacrifice. Our encounter card is Hummerhorns. We will finish the quest before we have to deal with Hummerhorns. And if we don't, that's real bad. So it's sitting in the staging area, not a big deal. I've got 5, there's 1 here, so 1, 2, 3, extra 1 on the quest. Not going to engage the Hummerhorns, as I said. We get a shadow on the forest spider. Denethor will defend. Spider's only at 2 attacks, so this is pretty safe right now. Okay, I have to exhaust a character. It's not too bad. Denethor takes no damage. Alright, moving on. We will exhaust Gleowine again to draw an extra card. And I will put this copy of Dark Knowledge on Denethor. Since he's defending or using his ability, I don't actually care about the willpower, and being able to look at a shadow card before we have him defend is very strong. 2 of these for a Guard of the Citadel. I think I'm probably going to hold these 2 back, and I can start maybe putting damage on the spider. Alright, I'm going to send 5 to the quest again. I'll put this resource on Theodred. What do we get? Great Forest Web. Alright, so I send 5, there's 3. We will make 2 progress. Normally, I think I will spend 1 of these resources and Secret Paths to cancel out this 2 threat, because that means 2 more progress, and we move on to the second quest stage. Conveniently, the second quest stage does absolutely nothing, so not such a big deal. Do I want to travel to the Great Forest Web? I think I do, because I don't have a lot of willpower right now. Which means that Denethor has to exhaust, so I need to do something else for the spider this round. Still not engaging the Hummerhorns. Get a shadow effect. I'm going to defend with this Miner of the Iron Hills. He's got 1 defense and 2 hit points. So if the shadow isn't anything too bad, he will live. Actually, before we do that, we might as well look at the shadow card first. It's nothing, so I'll defend with this Miner of the Iron Hills. He takes 1 point of damage. And unfortunately, the Guard of the Citadel doesn't do enough to fight back on his own. Alright, 1 more round. That's fun. Let's use Gleowine to draw another card. Hey, great. Spend 2 of our spirit resources for a Wandering Took. His action is completely useless in a single-player game, but he has great stats from the core set. He's got 1 of everything, so whatever you need him to do, he will do that thing. Let me drop a Snowborn Scout who can take... actually, no. Let me not drop the Snowborn Scout. If I don't play the Snowborn Scout, I can put an extra resource on Theodred this round, and then follow it up with Faramir next round, who is a big ally who can also boost our questing quite a lot. I can also sneak him in if I need to. So okay, let's go to the quest. I'm still going to send 5, I think. Staging area is very clear. We don't have to make a lot of progress in order to move on. I got 5 willpower. And we get another spider! Oh, I wish I'd been able to deal with one of these by now. Alright, so there's 3 threat in the staging area. I make 2 progress, getting rid of this location. Unfortunately, I have to engage the forest spider, and we get shadow card. Shadow card. I'll use dark knowledge to look at this one, because this spider just engaged us, so it's at 3 attack. It has no shadow effect, so I can defend with Denethor, take no damage. This other spider I will defend with the Wandering Took for the same reason as last time, because he will live if nothing else happens. Alright, no shadow effect for that either. It means we get 1 damage, and I can put a whole 1 damage on this spider. I forgot Theodred's resource during the quest phase, which I was going to put on Theodred. If you're playing at the tabletop, I really recommend you don't forget. It's pretty useful. Alright. I think that's gonna be it for now, so let's move on to the next round. 2 resources on Denethor. I will have Gleowine draw me a card. And then I will spend 3 with Lorien's Wealth to draw 3 more cards. I have a lot of resources right now, which is why I want to draw the cards, because then just have a lot more options for things that I can do with them. I haven't found anything great to spend Denethor's resources on yet, but I do have this Lorien Guide. And I will play Faramir. Probably will use Faramir as a defender this round, actually. These 4 have 4 attack, which is just enough to kill this spider. And I did draw a Test of Will, so I'm going to put a resource on Éowyn just in case I need to use that. Send 5 to the quest. Éowyn gets her resource. Okay, that's a little rough, but not impossible. I think I'm going to cancel that because it puts us in a really dangerous spot if our heroes are so low. Okay, so 3 in the staging area. I make 2 progress. And now we move on to a random chosen path stage. So I'm going to flip a coin. You can't see this, but that's heads, which I've decided is the first one. And it's going to be Ungoliant Spawn. Oh, well, that was the next card anyways, so we were going to see it no matter what. We do not reveal it, so this effect doesn't do anything. But it wasn't going to matter anyways because we already finished quest resolution. And we win as soon as we kill Ungoliant Spawn, which might be more of a challenge than I was hoping for at this point. Alright, Dol Orcs engages me. I get Shadow, Shadow, Shadow. I'll use Deep Knowledge to look at this one. Okay, that was a good one to see, because it means that if I defend with Denethor, I have to get rid of something, and I don't really want to do that. Oops, I removed it, but it's this. So I'll defend that attack with Faramir, who takes no damage. Denethor will defend this spider. No shadow effect, no damage. And now comes the tricky part. I'm going to defend with this miner. He will die against the Dol Orcs, but I still have enough to get rid of that enemy. Oops. I just said this dwarf right here was going to die, and didn't remove it from the battlefield. It's not going to make a difference. We have a great handle on this quest going forwards, but it would change a little bit about how the next couple rounds play out. Sorry. And there's a card I'm glad I won't see coming up from staging. Alright, and then we have attacks back. I got a lot of enemies right now, so 1, 2, 3 damage that I can do is enough to finish off these orcs. Okay, well, I'm really kind of hoping for Gandalf or something similar very soon. Otherwise, this could be real slow. Let's move on to the next round. Like that. Perfect. Yeah. That is what I wanted. Use Gleoline to draw myself a card. It's another great ally in the core set. 1, 2, I will absolutely play this Erebor Hammersmith. He has even better stats than Wandering Zook. He has an ability that doesn't do anything because I haven't discarded any attachments. But he can defend these guys a couple of times, assuming there's no shadow effects, and be absolutely fine. So I am going to quest. I'm going to send 5 again. I will put my extra resource on Theodred. I think my plan is to use Radagast's Cunning to cancel one of these enemies to make sure we don't raise our threat, because I am not ready to fight the spider yet. Alright, counter card is Enchanted Stream. Okay, and we're back. Sorry, I had to turn off a fan that I forgot to turn off because it's normally very quiet. Anyways, there are 6 threat in the staging area right now. So what I can do is spend 1 for a Secret Paths to get rid of the 2 threat from this Enchanted Stream. I sent 5. There's 4 here. So I make 1 progress. This progress is completely unnecessary, but I usually track anyways, because even if the requirement is 0, it technically still goes on. And you can put extra progress on a lot of quests, which sometimes matters if encounter cards are going to remove them. I think I will travel to the Enchanted Stream. I don't have a ton of card draw right now, and I'm probably going to use Gandalf to fight. So let's do that. Travel there. Alright, engagement. I don't have to engage Ungoliant Spawn, and I do not want to. So, in combat, these 2 get shadow effects. I'll exhaust Dark Knowledge to look at this one. Okay. Sorry, I discarded it because it did nothing. Denethor will defend and take no damage. I'll have Faramir defend against this spider. Also take no damage. I'm going to play Sneak Attack. Drop Gandalf into play. When Gandalf comes in, I get to do one of 3 things. Draw cards, which I can't do right now because of the active location. Deal 4 damage to an enemy, or reduce my threat by 5. Dropping my threat by 5 isn't going to make a difference, because if I get more of these forest spiders, I'm going to have to deal with them anyways. And there's a decent number of enemies with engagement costs lower than that, so I am going to do 4 damage. I need to think about this, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 attack right now. Which is enough to kill both of these spiders, because this one has 1 point of damage on it. So I'm going to put 4 damage on Ungoliant Spawn. And then Gandalf will use his 4 attack to kill this spider, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more, 5 more to get rid of this spider. And now we seem to be in pretty fantastic shape, honestly. I will need to play Gandalf again in order to survive the Ungoliant Spawn attack, I think. Or just chump block with a Snowborn Scout. But that's not so bad. Alright, end of combat. Gandalf will come back to my hand because of sneak attack. That's why this card is so good with Gandalf. And we move on to the next round. Unfortunately, Octagon doesn't know that this is preventing me from drawing cards, so that just goes right back. I will play this Snowborn Scout as a chump blocker. He puts 1 free progress on Enchanted Stream. So get my extra resources on Denethor. I will spend 5. Put Gandalf in play. Okay, so as previously mentioned, dropping my threat doesn't really do anything. So let's just put 4 damage on Ungoliant Spawn. Alright, let's go to the quest. I got 5, 6 committed. Let's do 7. Actually, let's not commit Gleowine. I might need him to chump block something. I've got 6 committed to the quest, and Lorien Guide will guarantee that I make 1 progress on this active location, exploring it immediately. That's my 6. And there we go. We have 2, 5, 6 threat against us, so we make no progress. There's a weird edge case in the rules. If you exactly tie, you did not quest successfully or unsuccessfully. So if there are any card effects that trigger based on successful or unsuccessful questing, if you tie exactly, you're totally fine. I don't even have to travel to the Mountains of Mirkwood, because as soon as I defeat Ungoliant Spawn, I will win the game. So, I'm going to optionally engage Ungoliant Spawn, deal it a shadow card, and use Dark Knowledge to look at this shadow card. Great. It doesn't have any nasty shadow effects, so I'm just going to have this Snowborn Scout defend. Ungoliant Spawn has 5 attack, Snowborn Scout has 1 defense and 1 hit point, so he ends up taking, oops, that was 1 too many. He ends up taking 4 damage, and he's really very incredibly dead. But the good news is I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 damage right back against 2 defense. Means, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more on Ungoliant Spawn. We have squished the spider. And since we've achieved our victory condition, that is the quest. Yeah, that is more or less what I'd expect a sort of core set 3-sphere deck like this to function like. You have a lot of tools for sort of drawing cards and stalling out early enemies until you get a big enough board that you can deal with something like Ungoliant Spawn, or like the Hill Troll from the next scenario, which is quite famous as a stumbling block for new players. In many cases, if you haven't built up enough yet, you can do something like drop in a Gandalf to reduce your threat, just to sort of buy yourself extra turns. And as long as you're keeping relatively on top of the staging area, as long as you're not losing heroes or allies left and right because of all the enemies you haven't been able to deal with, just sort of slowing things down and allowing yourself to build up more on the board is really nice. And as you can see, right, we did a lot of work with these allies that have 1 in their stats. Some of them are certainly expensive, like this Lorien Guide, who has the same stats as the Guard of the Citadel, but a small bonus ability and a whole extra resource cost. You notice also Theodred allows you to really sort of customize where your resources go, so you can look at your hand and you can sort of plan ahead. Like I did with Faramir, and I have 2 resources on Theodred. I know that if I give him 1 extra this round, he'll get 1 more in the planning phase of the next round, and I can use that to put Faramir out. Faramir is also a great defender early on. 2 health, 3 hit points, that is a big ally in comparison to some of these. Pull out some other key cards in the deck, just so we can look at them real quick. Those ones are worth talking about. Okay, Northern Tracker. Northern Tracker is still, even in the modern full card pool, a very strong card. Its ability allows you to clear locations without triggering these nasty shadow effects, and this is definitely not something you should underestimate. It's hard to get good defense or attack values outside of tactics in the core set. I use Northern Trackers a lot for combat in Spirit decks. So Daughter of the Nimrodel is basically the only sort of ally that heals heroes in the core set. There's an attachment that also costs 3, which is also pretty good, but equally expensive. The main thing to watch out for with these is that you don't want to heal until after you've done questing. Because if you heal with Daughter of the Nimrodel, and then Necromancer's Reach comes up, your ally is just gone, and you've lost that healing for probably the rest of the game. Unless you draw this card, Stand and Fight, which lets you play allies from your discard pile in exchange for spirit resources. If I had drawn differently, I probably would have put Steward of Gondor on Éowyn, just to make sure that I could pay for a Test of Will, Northern Tracker, Stand and Fight when they came up. They didn't. I drew a ton of lore cards instead, so she just got extra resources from Theodred when I needed them. And it mostly works out pretty well, but you should definitely think about the cards you have in your hand. It is hard to draw a lot of extra cards in the core set, so it's hard to bank on getting the cards that you want as opposed to making do with the cards that you have. Alright, I'm going to post this deck list, this video. The deck list will be on RingsDB, and it will have some thoughts about why these cards made the cut, like this one seems expensive, you know, it doesn't necessarily do much, etc., sort of why I picked the cards I wanted, these tips, and probably some more. And the video will be on YouTube, just in time for anyone to watch with a brand new core set on Christmas, if they would like. Alright everybody, thanks for watching.